Content Championship.
Yes. More than 6.
It has been.
It's content season again.
Andor versus WandaVision.
Do you want to just chalk up the winner now?
No, Tom. I feel like you're doing WandaVision dirty. I feel like you brought into the anti-hype that came out after the show.
Who said I was going against Wandavision?
I know what you prefer.
No, you don't. You don't know me.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So, as always, personal relevance, how well it is aged, rewatchability, story, acting, and cinematography / general visualiness.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to start, or shall I start?
I'm happy to start. I mean, personal relevance. They've both come out in the last 5 years. I can't remember when WandaVision came out now. It's been a while.
2 years ago.
Is it only 2? Feels longer.
I want to say it was 2021. It might have been 2020.
So yeah,
it was 2021.
Okay, so 2, 3. So within the last 3 years, so they're both pretty fresh in the grand scheme of things compared to some of the stuff we talked about in this section. WandaVision kind of kicked off MCU TV. It was like the big kickoff for Disney Plus and the big kickoff for like the TV shows, and came out before we started doing this podcast.
It did.
Andor came out during the podcast. It's been a great content section for a while. We loved it. It's filled a gap pre a film we both love.
Mm-hmm.
Is a universe I love a lot more. So I think for me, personal relevance kind of leans towards Andor purely because of how much I love Rogue One and Star Wars. I'd like, don't get me wrong, don't hate WandaVision or anything, but it's just like none has any like, they don't have the ability to have any like childhood relevance or anything to like boost it. It's kind of just like how it feels nowadays, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I lean more Andor for me.
So for Andor, I put best Star Wars show. And it elevates my favorite Star Wars film in Rogue One.
Yeah.
For WandaVision, all I could really say was it's the first MCU Disney Plus show. It set the initial bar very high for the Disney Plus shows, despite its pacing issues. And it did have pacing issues.
Yeah, well, they all did at that point.
And I think the only thing that people haven't tried to make a problem since is the CGI from that. No one's complained about the CGI from that at all.
No.
Everything after it, people have complained about CGI. No one complained about the look of WandaVision or the CGI of it.
It's because it was the first one they had to nail it.
And it had a ridiculous budget.
Yeah. And build up. Okay, so I feel like we both lean Andor there.
Yeah.
Which, kind of understandable when we both love Rogue One so much.
Andor had me ready to start a fucking revolution.
Yeah.
I know for like me that's not saying much. I'm always like one bad day away from becoming a rebel. But like it really had me ready to tear the establishment down brick by fucking brick.
And then how well it's aged. Now, these haven't had long to age.
No.
Some less than others. Like Andor's had like hardly any time to age. But
yeah.
I like to think WandaVision's aged quite well, considering I feel like we look back on some of the other MCU shows a bit more harshly than we do WandaVision. Maybe that's rose-colored glasses a little bit because it was the first rose-tinted. I knew what I meant. Because it was the first one and it was so unique in its styling. Also, Andor's aged well. Like, we're very hyped for the second season. We love Rogue One. Like, it's added things to Rogue One like that we didn't think about. So it's kind of hard on this one. It's very even, in my opinion.
So for Andor, I said it's far too soon to say. I don't think it will age badly, but I think it's just far too soon to say.
Yeah, that's fair.
With WandaVision, I still think it's too soon to say. But we're at a point in the MCU where every bit of content at some point the entire fan base turns on it and starts hating it.
Yeah.
So when WandaVision was coming out, my timeline every week was just people jizzing their pants over it. And then 6 months later, everyone was acting like they despised it and they never enjoyed it.
Yeah, everyone was like, that was such a weird style. So weird.
And I think that's going to damage it long term, purely because you're going to have people who watched it a little bit later, were looking on Twitter to see what people were saying when they were watching it, and they're just seeing people shitting on it, and they're letting that color their opinion. For me personally, it's still too soon to say how well it's aged, but I think the fandom in general has hurt how well it's going to age.
A little bit. I do think there's kind of the premise there, which, with the way the MCU is going, that like it could age well in the fact that like things that happen in WandaVision might play a bigger part down the road, i.e., White Vision.
Yeah.
Like, we still don't know what's going on with that. Like, there's things there that like it's set up, and in those terms, like it could have played a good enough part that like, okay, that's aged actually quite well. It was quite an important point in the story of setting things up, and people will look back on it again and go, okay, we were a bit harsh there. But like, yeah, I do agree. Like, it's very early to say with these shows, especially Andor.
Yeah. Put it this way, I've already seen people trying to claim WandaVision wasn't that bad as a hot take.
I think the fact that no one's turned on Andor really kind of gives it the edge here, but like it's kind of, they're both evenish because it's so soon.
You just can't tell, can you? Yeah. I think once season 2 of Andor comes out, we'll be able to tell how well it's aged.
Yeah, I agree.
Based on like that week or two before it, if everyone's losing their mind waiting for it, it's aged well.
Yeah.
Rewatchability, Andor very high, WandaVision mid to high. They're both well-contained solo stories, but they are also well executed and add to their respective extended universes.
Yeah, I kind of had like, would watch Wanda if I need to remind myself for something upcoming. Wouldn't be against watching again. Andor could quite happily sit and watch Andor, especially after season 2, and watch Andor season 1, season 2, and Rogue One. Like, I could quite happily sit there and watch that as like a little sub, like Star Wars binge sort of thing, because it's a good, like you say, well-contained story.
Story for both, I put as 10 out of 10. I don't think either of the story put a fucking foot wrong the entire time, and I'll die on that hill.
So I would put Andor above, kind of on pacing of Wanda.
But is that the story's fault, or is that... Because if we're saying that's the story's fault, I can agree with that. But the way it's portrayed doesn't make it the story's fault, if that makes sense.
I suppose that could be in cinematography. But it's like
you could say very easily that if WandaVision had 2 or 3 more episodes, there would have been no pacing issues, and the story would have been the exact same.
True.
Which is why I had it as a 10. If we want to say pacing issues come out of the story category, WandaVision drops down to an 8. That's fine.
I feel like it's hard that where to put the pacing thing, because if you want to treat it as like they had 6 episodes and they didn't get the story spread out properly, or
that's why I put about pacing issues in my personal relevance bit, because that's like my general feelings about it.
Yeah, okay, I can understand that. And yeah, I mean the story in its whole is decent. So it's, it is unfair, I guess, to take that out on the story.
Yeah. Imagine the writer's written this beautiful story. They think they've got 12 episodes and they're like, 8.
Yeah,
fair.
I don't know. I guess I slightly lean to Andor because I'm biased and I love the story build up for Rogue One.
I think Andor is a more compelling story, but the way the stories are told and executed are perfect. Yeah. It's just Andor has a stronger starting point.
Yeah, and it plays into a bigger thing.
Yeah. And, just anti-fascism and imperialism. It's an easy W. It's cheap.
It hits all the points for you.
Yeah.
Acting. I just have Andy Serkis, incredible.
the exact same thing.
Okay, moving on.
in block capital letters, I just have Andy Serkis.
Honestly, I think his performance alone in Andor just takes this category.
Just that one scene where he's talking to the entire prison. Honestly,
well, those two episodes.
If you could bottle how I felt during that scene and sell it, you'd be a billionaire in 5 minutes.
Those 2 episodes, from like the build up of him realizing what's going on to that speech, like just an incredible performance. And I mean, also we got the speech from Lupin, which was also incredible. I mean, for WandaVision, don't get me wrong, the acting was great. They did
very good. Yeah, I said especially where the acting was good was right in the middle, where the facade of the beginning was starting to collapse.
Yes,
and you got to see like the people in the town in like that conflicted state
weird
of trying
in between.
Yeah, I think that was when the acting was really at its best because it gave you this perfect level of unnerving, like, the fuck is going on?
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. But Andy Serkis, so
yeah,
it's unfortunate.
Cinematography is really difficult for me here.
Yeah,
because here's the thing: Andor is
visual,
just gorgeous.
Yeah,
just like Rogue One,
visually stunning.
It makes space look like the most beautiful thing ever. But I'm also an absolute sucker for trying things and being unique and different. And WandaVision has that in spades.
The way that they rotated through sitcom styles and was able to do like in such a creative way, and to do that as their opening MCU show and like really throw the that was a gamble that people would enjoy that. I think stuff like that is incredible as well.
Because it wasn't just like the changing of the outfits and the color palette or anything.
No.
It was the camera shots they were using were how they did it in them sitcoms. And then it also gave you the juxtaposition when we saw the facade breaking and you got them different camera angles. You knew this wasn't how Wanda wanted something to happen. It was a masterpiece. And they're both phenomenal in very different ways, which makes it... It's like saying, do you want the best burger in the world or do you want the best pizza in the world? And it depends if you're a pizza or a burger guy.
The only thing that I feel maybe for cinematography is like Star Wars, even in Andor, had some incredible scores and stuff that also added to it. And like things like that really kind of almost took the TV show to a cinema feeling level.
Yeah.
Where WandaVision definitely just felt like a TV show. So
okay, but
obviously that's what it's meant to go for.
I raise you a counterpoint on music. Andor didn't have Agatha all along.
I mean, true, was that not a story?
No, the song.
Oh, I thought you meant as in like Agatha was there.
The
sorry, the song. I forgot about the song. Oh my god, you just opened a memory. I
think we both know Andor wins.
Yeah, but not by as far as I was making out.
Yeah, but it sucks for WandaVision because there are definitely some stuff on here that WandaVision just solos without even worrying about.
Yeah, it's almost like the ones where Andor doesn't win. Like, there's a lot of just neck and necks because they're both great, and unfortunately, it's just like Andor just tips it in a couple where it's like.
I think what we can do is sit here and say objectively they are pretty even.
Yes.
But based on our personal preferences,
our personal bias.
Andor wins. Yeah, and I mean, it's our fucking content championship. We can be biased.
It's our show.
But I don't want anyone to leave here thinking we hate WandaVision. We don't. We love it. It's just Andor is
WandaVision
that
actually
guy.
Top MCU show, to be honest.
Top what else we have? We've had She-Hulk. We've had Miss Marvel. We've had Moon Knight.
Captain America.
We've had What If.
Falcon
Winter Soldier. Yeah, no, it's probably one for me. Moon Knight would have usurped it if it also didn't have pacing issues. Yeah, no, you're probably right.
So, don't get us wrong. We do like the show. It was great, but you can't. It's Andor, man.
But I would literally trade Hori in for Andor season 2.